And thank you everyone for coming to the session today. I didn't expect it to be a large group, but I sort of like hope that we will get some value out of this meeting anyway for moving on. And I know this meeting has actually caused a lot of interest because it's something a little bit different on the at-large ICANN meeting agenda. But it is my only chance to sort of like do this because I've sort of like been away sort of like the whole week with NomCom, and I haven't had any opportunity to meet anyone sort of like from the at-large team. So it's really good to be able to get into the sunlight and to meet people. But what I have been asked is why, why are we having this? Why I actually decided to call this meeting, and I think it's there are three key purposes for me, and for me the first of all it was to introduce myself not just as someone from at large or ALAC or from ICANN, but to introduce myself now as a new ISOC board trustee, and I take my seat in a week's time in Washington. But I know that this election result was due to voting by many of the chapters in at large, and I'm very grateful. And I wanted to thank those chapters from our at large community who actually sort of like did vote for me. Thank you. But while we were at it, I realised that many of you don't even know who other ISOC chapter members are within our community. And I just sort of like felt that we should know each other, we should acknowledge each other, and we should all be proud of our internet governance roots and acknowledge those who are actually part of our organisation, and our organisation being the ISOC, Internet Society. Another reason is to show you how and why I think ISOC chapters are a perfect fit for at large, and to highlight to our that our ISOC chapters add value to our outreach role, and it's been proved many times in the successful projects that they've carried out in their communities under the ICANN umbrella. And the UA events, the recent UA events, are a prime example of those successful events that have been run by our chapters. And the third purpose was to take this opportunity of getting you together to workshop some ideas of how our ISOC chapters actually add value to the dual role that they have within ICANN and within our communities. So, there's actually lots of benefits. I mean, I sort of like see it as lots of benefits of having that we've actually got this, ISOC chapters within at large. Okay. So anyway, we put this agenda together, and we're basically going to follow it. But we'll be looking at, the chapters, who are the chapters that are in at large, the common elements of the vision and mission of both ISOC and ICANN, and the ISOC expectations of the role of their ISOC chapters, and why ISOC chapters are already a good fit as ICANN ALSs. And at the same time, I'd like to know who is here. So we're going to have a bit of a round the table sort of like introduction to sort of like so that you can introduce yourselves and the chapters that you belong to. But also I've got a few bits of paper sort of like floating around. And if you wouldn't mind adding some contact details about you and your chapter. But there is a disclaimer. You don't have to record these details. I don't want to sort of like break any privacy sort of like issues that you have, but it would help us to for when we actually sort of like make a decision about what happens with the group going forward, and later on for our outreach and engagement team to have this data. But I guess the most important purpose, and that is that for this gathering today, and I'm really pleased to see there's a bit of a group sort of like forming here, is to get you talking to each other to identify and share best practices about what you already do to help get ISOC messages out into your communities so that we can actually use these same techniques for our ICANN messages. And we need to feed these ideas back into to other ALSs as well, because I'm sure that they will be very helpful, especially because I know that ISOC chapters are already, already successful. But additionally to our agenda, and I guess it's there, yes, it is. Additionally to our agenda, we have a special guest right at the very end. Our ALAC chair, Jonathan, who is going to introduce his campaign playbook, which I think would be an excellent introduction type place to introduce it, especially after you've actually had a look at, sort of like the ideas. If we have sort of like a little bit of gathering of our ideas and how we can implement them using the playbook. So let's get started. Next. Can I have the next slide, please? Who's in charge? Oh, yeah. Next slide. Yeah, okay. Next slide. Okay. Right. There are 81 chapters and one SIG that are ALSs within at large. And as you can see by the colours, of course, the RALO colours, AFRALO and APRALO are the largest and probably the most needy regions of the world for information, other support from both ISOC and ICANN. And I was just I hadn't actually sort of like looked at those numbers and the areas that people come from with regards to the chapters, and it's absolutely amazing. But now, because we're actually sort of like gathering people, and before we actually start, I'd really like to sort of like have people introduce themselves, if they can just give their name and their country and their chapter, so that we can identify each other as ISOC members. And I guess I could start with myself, and we'll go around that way. But okay, so I'm Maureen Hilliard. I'm from the Cook Islands, and I represent the Pacific Islands chapter, PIC-ISOC. But I'd like to add something, which you don't have to, but I just like to add that unlike many of your chapters, which may be country-based or city-based, PIC-ISOC has about 600 members from 22 small island states, which are scattered around the Pacific. And I'm not quite sure where they are at the moment, but I do know that at the meeting, and they're probably stuck on a bus somewhere, that I have some Pacific colleagues actually with me today, and I hope that they can introduce themselves when they arrive. But so that's me. Let's go next to Caleb.
Okay, everyone, my name is Caleb. My name is Caleb, and I am currently an ISOC Board of Trustee. And under the ALS, I am from the Nigerian chapter. And I'm really glad and happy to welcome you all to this engagement where we can have a collaborative effort to see how we can do things together. But more importantly, I want to thank Maureen for organizing this. Maureen is our incoming board member. And so officially, we are welcoming her to the board to serve alongside with us. So please let us know more about you in as we go along. And please, if we don't have enough time to engage and have some conversation, there is still coffee break outside, and you can also reach out to us or myself if there are concerns that we need to talk about. Thank you.
Eduardo, your turn.
Thank you, Eduardo Diaz from ISOC Puerto Rico. We have been one of the few ALSs that were part of the founding MOU for Narralo. So we have been here since 2007. Thank you.
I'm Hadi El Miniawi. I'm an Internet Society member and a member of ISOC chapter Egypt. And online we have with us Mariam Faiz. She's the Secretary General of the Egyptian chapter, and she would like to introduce the chapter in a couple of minutes. If I can hand the floor to Mariam.
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Hadia. Thank you for being present at the ICANN. I'm glad to be part of this session. And this is Mariam Faiz. I'm glad to be here. I'm the Secretary General of the ISOC Egypt chapter. And it's a relatively regionally-based chapter, and we're very happy to be working on a number of activities. We've done a couple of sessions, and we're mobilizing the community bit by bit, but it's happening. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Ed. Back to you.
Next, thank you, Harold Arco from Venezuela. Young Leader Groups for ISOC since 2012, global member.
Hello, good morning. My name is Raihan Agbadamosi. I'm the Vice President for Internet Society Benin and a member of Chapter Global. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amrita Chaudhary. I am from the Delhi chapter, though I do not represent Delhi chapter at large. I had a comment from some of our ALSs. Is there a differentiation happening between ISOC ALSs and other ALSs? Because for our RALOs, all ALSs are same. So, some were questioning why is there a separate ISOC session and not for all ALSs? Just a comment for everyone to think. Thank you.
Hablo en español. Marcelo.
I will speak Spanish. Marcelo Rodriguez from Argentina, an ALAC member.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shah Zahid Rahman. I'm the ISOC Bangladesh chapter vice president. Thank you.
En français, si vous voulez bien, Sébastien Bachelet.
I'm going to speak. I am Sébastien Bachelet. I am from the ISOC chapter France, and I'm a representative in an ISOC chapter at Eurolaw and other international activities. And now I'll change hats, and I am the president of Eurolaw. And this meeting is sometimes difficult for me. Regarding the other structures, I have to be the president of all the ALSs in Europe, and they're all at the same level. They are all equal, and at the historical level, this type of meeting was organized by the ICANN staff one day before, by ISAC staff one day before, or in a special meeting, but not integrated in the ICANN program. And I think that the weakness of ISOC world at that level is quite clear, and I understand that we are obliged today to organize something quite specific, but it's very complex. It's difficult for a president of a RALO. and the websites are not updated, and the list that we have in front of us is not updated for the blue part. And I can give you some new members, the actual members, ISOC chapters in Uralo. Thank you very much.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Maureen, for having us. Remy Wake is my name. I work with Digital Sense Africa. Digital Sense Africa is a member of an ALS based in Nigeria, and also a member of ISOC Nigeria. Thank you.
Good morning, Adrian Schmidt. Actually born in Argentina, Canadian, and living in Maryland. I don't represent any ISOC yet.
Good morning, Sex Marine. I am Lilian. I am founder member of ISOC Colombia chapter. Since in Lacralo 2042. Thank you. ISOC Colombia chapter.
Good morning. This is Dr. Jabera Matogoro, a member of Tanzania Internet Society chapter, and also a member of Afraro, and the founder of Kondoa Community Network through ISOC chapter. Thank you.
Hello, Edmund Chung from ISOC Hong Kong. ISOC Hong Kong has been with AP Rallo since before its beginning, and my colleague Pavan continues to support the Secretariat at AP Rallo. I kind of like Sebastian, I'm quite happy to see the tighter collaboration among ISOC chapters here, and actually between ISOC and ICANN through different dimensions here as through ISOC chapters. And thank you, Maureen and Caleb, from the ISOC Board of Trustees to get this initiative started, and looking forward to more discussions.
Satish Babu, founding chair of ISOC India Trivandrum chapter and a member of the CHAC steering committee. I'd also like to mention that we have 7 chapters in India, and all these 7 have been jointly organizing the India School on Internet Governance, now in its 9th edition this year.
Pari Esfandiari, a member of the UK ISOC, which runs under leadership of Olivier Sepin-Leblond, who is a very familiar face in here as well. Thank you.
Jonathan Zook, as Maureen mentioned, I'm the current chair of the ALAC. I was a member of ISOC DC for many, many years when I ran the trade association in DC. It's interesting because different ISOC chapters have different emphasis often based on the issues that are local to them. And so DC has a much more political focus in terms of legislation and regulation and how it affects the internet than, say, ISOC chapters in other areas. And so I did a lot of work on public policy related issues for that ISOC chapter. And we were part of building up the Internet Society's privacy operations and the surveys they do of companies for their privacy practices and things like that. So that's my connection to ISOC.
Hello, good morning to everyone. This is Aris Ignacio from ISOC Philippines, and currently I'm the chair. And I'm also part of the original rejuvenation team from 2009, because we have been inactive by 10 years because we have entered ISOC since 1999. So thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Mariam Lee. I'm a member of ISOC Malaysia. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Felix Opili, ISOC Kenya. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Oruk from Internet Society Uganda, the former Secretary General for Special Interest Groups. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Suada. I'm from Internet Society Chapter Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we are relatively new. We were founded in 2020, and we didn't know about this possibility. So thank you for this session.
Okay, bonjour à tous. Permettez-moi d'aller en français.
Hello, everyone. Allow me to speak in French. My name is Elias Nyankadia. I'm the General Treasurer of ISOC Benin. Thank you.
Buenos días. Voy a hablar en español.
Good morning. I will speak in Spanish. My name is Sergio Salinas Porto. I am the secretary of LACRALO. I am not a part of ISOC. I belong to another organization, another global organization called FRELAC. This is Latin American and Caribbean Federation of Internet Users. Thank you very much for this opportunity to join you and to participate here. Thank you.
Good morning, Pastor Peters Omoragbo, President, Nurses Across the Borders, an NGO on special consultative status with the ECOSOC, UN, and the first NGO from Nigeria to be granted observer status by the UNFCCC, which makes me a UN ambassador and representative. Nurses Across the Borders has been involved with ICANN since 2010 when we admitted into AFRALO as an ALS. I'm from Nigeria, but this session today is giving me a lot of things to think about. One, if Internet Society representing a particular country, now Idian just mentioned they have 7 chapters. So the question is, if it is Internet Society chapter in a particular country or Internet Society of a particular country. So I want us to begin to think of, can you have more than one chapter in a particular country? And if you have more than one chapter in a particular country, what status would they maintain within the ICANN structure? Then most ISOC members are also LSCs within AFRALO. The issue raised by Admirita as to why this special session for the ISOC, even though as good as it is, will also be issues that ICANN also have to begin to think about as to how to actually maintain a level playing ground for all the stakeholders as a multi-stakeholder organization. So having said that, I'm happy to be here, and if there needs to be a need for me or my organization to be part of the ISOC Nigeria, then that is something I have to look into. But if not, we can continue to function the way we are as an internet end user. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Aziz Hilali, one of the founders of ISOC Morocco in 1993. And I like to remind that our chapter was the first one in Africa. And I took over the presidency just 1 year ago. I am also a LAC member. That's it.
Good morning, everyone. Tracy Hackshaw. I'm a co-founder of ISOC Trinidad and Tobago, also a member of a few other chapters. I will just name 2, Switzerland and the Pacific Islands. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Claire Craig. I am one of the vice chairs of ALAC, and I am also a member of the Trinidad and Tobago ISOC chapter, but I'm not the representative at large. Thank you.
Denise Hotchbaum. I want to greet everybody. Good morning. And I belong to DC chapter, known for a long time. And that's it. I think DC has to pass for a big restructuration, and I think I can collaborate with some needs that they have. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Yaovi I'm also a founding member of the ISOC Benin chapter. charter in 1999. And then I remember that when we were going to INET, which were big events at the ICANN meetings, we used to collect annual contribution from members to give back because there was no way to go and to send the money to ISOC. So, but today ISOC is supporting the chapters. So what I want to say as GSC ICANN staff is that the chapters are in very good position to contribute to what ICANN is doing. And then I keep saying that chapters need to keep the branding. If you are in ISOC chapter, it's like a branding. So we should do everything to keep this branding. And then again, we are in good position, chapters, they're in good position to contribute to the work ICANN is doing. So I want to thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Steinar Grøtterud, chair of ISOC Norway, and I was the one that kind of restarted this chapter in 2012, and we are now in operation on a daily basis. Thank you.
Hi, this is Greg Shatton, speaking in the left-hand mic because the right-hand mic only has half of my face in it. I'm the chair of the ISOC New York chapter, chartered in 1997. I'm also the chair of NARALO, and I serve on the chapter advisory committee as a member of the steering committee and as the secretary of the steering committee. In my spare time, I play the saxophone with the Internet Gems band. I do want to say that I think that ISOC or chapters within ALAC are a special case and worthy of a meeting such as this. That does not mean that we could not have a meeting also of all ALSs, but I think that that's a different meeting. Ideally, it is a different meeting because I think we have special, particular things to discuss here. So I hope that we can, consider. It's not an either or in terms of the types of meetings we have, and I think that the ISOC charter mission and support is something that can be, particularly put to use within the ICANN ecosystem as well, and I look forward to discussing that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Flavio Wagner. I'm the president of the Brazilian chapter of the Internet Society, and also a member of the steering committee of the Chapters Advisory Council of the Internet Society. And our chapter has been accepted as at-large structure for a few months. This is the first ICANN meeting where we attend in this condition as at-large structure. We're very glad to be here.
Good morning. My name is Olga Cavalli. I am a member of the board of the Argentina chapter. I used to be the president of the chapter several years. I was also a member of the ICANN board, ISOC board, sorry. ISTAR, I think. ISOC board, and our chapter is one of the oldest chapters. It was funded in the 1990s, and we are an ALS member for a very long time. We do a lot of activities, especially focused on community networks and capacity building activities mainly in Argentina, but also in partnership with other countries in the region. And I'm very glad to be here and to contribute. We are at large activities. I follow the list and I try to catch up all the activities that you do at large. And thank you for having me here.
Are there any others who are out there who may? Oh, I think Vanda's just joined us.
Hello, my name is Maureen. I'm an individual member of ISOC from Tanzania.
Good morning. My name is Farida from Tanzania. I'm an individual member from Internet Society chapter in Tanzania. Thank you.
Good morning, Patrick Kiza, Internet Society, Uganda.
Good morning.
My name is Cliff, and I'm from the Internet Society Uganda chapter.
Good morning, Louis Hull, Honorary President of ISOC Quebec.
Hello everyone, I'm Ashaw Nebat. I'm the current Secretary General for Special Interest Groups from the Uganda chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, good morning, Yrjö Länsipura. I'm the chair of the Finnish ISOC chapter, and which is also an ALS. And may I say that it's a very good combination. It's really a win-win situation if you are both an ALS and an ISOC chapter. Thank you.
Betty Foster, ISOC in Caribbean and SIG.
Well, Yazid Akao from ICANN staff, but member of Benin chapter. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Wanda Scartazzini. I'm member of ISOC Brazil for many, many years. Not so active there, but is still part of the group.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gerald Sule from the Kenya chapter.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Razatan Latibari from Iran. I'm the member of ISOC since 2013, but unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to create the Iran chapter. We are eager to create this chapter, but it seems based on OFAC rule, we cannot. If possible, if we have your support to create Iran chapter, we can have more engagement in internet, and we can follow the ICANN slogan that is one internet and one word and one internet. Then please support us to have ISOC chapter of Iran. Thank you.
I'm Victor Ndona, Senior Community Engagement Manager at the Internet Society. I'm truly thrilled to see the great community of Internet Society chapter here. Thank you.
Hello, this is Jasmine Koh from Internet Society Hong Kong. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
My name is Mayol from South Sudan, a member of ISOC. Thank you.
My name is Frank Anati, a member of ISOC Ghana.
Bonjour, je suis Towe
Hello,
Isaï.
my name is Towe Isaï. I'm a secretary executive of the Burkina Association for Internet, and I'm a member of the Burkina Faso chapter.
My name is Shion Ojedeji, ISOC Nigeria.
Adefulu Jediel, responsable technique.
I'm in charge of the technical training in Benin.
My name is Taro Peter Akarami, so ISOC Nigeria.
My name is Wisdom Donko, Ghana, ISOC.
My name is Barak Otieno, Internet Society, Kenya chapter.
Good morning. My name is Rose Taremwa. I come from Uganda, but this was my first time to attend ICANN. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Malk Sawebi, ISOC Tunisia.
Good morning, Albert Kipchirchir, ISOC Kenya.
Good morning. My name is Khaled Khlifi. I'm a former member of ISOC Tunisia.
Are we done?
Yes, I think.
Oh, Natalia, of course.
Sorry for this. My name is Natalia Filin. I am living in Moscow, and I would love to say that I was a member of Russian ISOC chapter, but unfortunately, for many years, we hadn't any opportunity to have a support from ISOC and exist. And I think it's not our problem. And I would like to ask you maybe somehow to discuss this problem and to understand that not each country may have an ISOC chapter, and maybe we should do something with this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was absolutely amazing to hear, the diversity of, of our chapters within it, who are actually here. I mean, you can imagine that, for it to be central somewhere, but in the middle of Africa, and that so many people have come from far and wide. It's absolutely awesome. But actually, there was a question in the chat, and there's been some questions raised. Caleb, I'm going to pass over to Caleb because he's sort of like the more experienced one from the ISOC.
Thank you very much. So there was a question from Amrita, and I think that question also, Pastor Peters also raised a little bit of it. But because of time, I will just try and talk a little bit generally on that. So as we all know, ISOC is part of the ISTAR, and we'll agree that ISTAR is a big community involving lots of internet governance related organizations and communities, right? And so having this kind of gathering does not really change the remit of the ISOC chapters in their local countries or within ALAC as well, right? We are all supporting organizations to what the mission of ALAC is within the ICANN mission itself. And so we should not neglect that. Basically, this conversation is just a small informal gathering post the ISOC cocktail that we had, right? And we should see that this kind of gatherings in ICANN is a way to stimulate networking. It's also a way for us to get to know each other more and understand our concerns as ISOC, right? And not to, but more importantly, we need to see how we can coexist and, collaborate more in the system. So Amrita said that a few chapters we are not happy that they would not be part of this or something, right?
Not really. It was some ALSs actually questioned that, is there a preferential treatment to some ISOC chapters? I don't think that's the cause. And it was a comment, not a question.
Okay.
So the only thing is that for us as RALO chairs, all ALSs, all UIMs are same. Having a separate ISOC meeting is fine, but we should not give a message that there is an exclusivity club. That is what I was raising. It's good. We had informal discussions, but if we are supposed to do something at an at-large level, we should do it for all ALSs. And nothing, it was not a question, it was a comment.
So I'll just wrap up and just let you know that this is not officially organized by ISOC, right? But then this is also something that we should it's an opportunity for us whenever we come to ICANN, right? For those who can travel and who can join us remotely to collaborate together. So for lack of time, I would want to wrap up. And for Iran chapter, please know that we all support you and we want you to come on board. We have an ISOC chapter manager that can help you start up whatever you need. Thank you.
Pastor Peters, once again for the record. Thank you, Caleb. We're not trying to raise any controversy here. I think just in line with what Amrita said, every member of ALAC are equal before ALAC. So as much as we want ICANN to organize meetings with all its various structures, the only conflict is that most of the ISOC are ALSs of each RALO, either FRALO or URALO. So when you begin to have meetings like this, is welcome. So it will also be good in future ICANN meetings, something of this nature can also be organized for other structures within ICANN. If not, we could have a general meeting for all members of ICANN structures or ALAC. That is just our concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Peters. I'd like to actually just move on if we can, but I do appreciate okay. I do appreciate that there are some concerns, and in fact, although we were actually going into workshopping sort of like later on, some of the concerns that we're actually sort of like raising at the moment, if you wouldn't mind if we kept those until we just do the next part of this presentation, and I will, Sebastian, I've got your name down on a list of people who are going to be speaking very shortly. If I can have the next slide, please, so we can just get this bit over and done with. If you have a look at the visions and missions of the Internet Society and of ICANN, you will actually see that both have objectives for the Internet that are very end-user focused, and which makes ISOC chapters ideal members of at-large because you already come into ICANN with a preset mission that is to, for example, this is taken from the 2030 strategy, this is the preview, but it's to enrich people's lives and be a force for good in society, okay? And that's what we're trying to do. But when you come into ICANN, however, you become part of a different sort of like organization. It's a very hands-on, multi-stakeholder at-large organization, and whose prime focus or mission is not only to protect the Internet's unique identifiers, the domain name system, but also to work together as ISOC chapters and other, in the public interest. And it's doing good in society. So they're very aligned, very connected. Okay, so this is one of the things that I sort of say makes it a perfect fit. So if we go to the next, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but go to the next slide, please. On the website, on the ISOC website in the chapters section is this list of things that, of basically the expectations of the chapters. And ISOC says the chapters are central to their work. And I mean, here, chapters are central to the work that we do within ICANN. But members run programs and activities dedicated to making a difference locally. Members inform policy. They educate the public about Internet-related issues. They provide unique regional perspectives. They share an interest and belief in the mission of the organization, and they're committed to furthering the goals of the organization, whether it be ISOC or ICANN. Those sort of activities are very aligned to what we expect of our ALSs, all our ALSs. This is the same sort of thing. The thing is that within ICANN, at-large structures are very sort of like more related to processes and procedures. It's a typical sort of like bureaucratic kind of approach, really. And so that what we actually, at-large structures are even in the ICANN bylaws. So, there is really a very formal sort of like aspect of being an ALS. So you go from a very sort of like a very sort of informal sort of relationship in the internet society sort of world into something that's a little bit more structured and people belonging to working groups and having attendance, blah blah. So what we want to do is what I'm actually just trying to say here is that the both based on the that at-large structures sort of like definition there too was taken from the ALS mobilization final report. And so that basically sort of like outlines what's required of at-large structures, and it's very process-oriented. So what I want to actually sort of like get at is that we're ALSs, all ALSs, and ISOC chapters are ALSs, are committed to keeping, as it says, keeping their members adequately informed through their own educational programs about ICANN issues so that they can not only understand the issues, but also actively and confidently participate in at-large discussions that inform ICANN policy. And that is our purpose in the in at-large, but also are very much aligned to how we get those messages that come from ICANN out into our communities. And this is where what you do in ISOC is very valid. So what I'm going to do now, we were going to go into workshopping, but I've got lots of hands up here. So I'm going to first of all go to Olga.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Olga Cavalli from Argentina chapter. I made a comment in the chat because I thought that we were running out of time. There was a time that there were several activities, joint activities of ISOC chapters and ISOC during the ICANN meetings. This was gone. I don't know why, but profiting from the fact that we have ISOC board members in the room and many chapters and many ALSs all together, I think, and also considering that ISOC is having a new leadership soon in the next month, it could be good that if you can propose or reconsider the fact that organizing activities in between ISOC and ICANN during the ICANN meetings. I think both ALSs, RALOs, at large and ISOC chapters can profit from common activities and common interest. And the two communities have a common interest. So I think this could be good to try to reconsider and restart again. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Board Member Emeritus Olga Cavalli. So I think we've noted your concerns, and I used to be part of those activities from way back, so I get what you mean. But COVID came and then destroyed quite a number of things, and we've noted the concerns. We'll take it back, and we will try to see what we can do, how we can sustain it. More importantly, but there used to be, I know there used to be like regional ISOC meetings that they used to have. And so if it's something that we will need to push also on the board, we will try to, we've noted your concerns and we'll try to push it as well. Thank you.
I mean, just to look at it from what we've started here, and I think that this is just a start. I must have to admit that, I mean, when I was the chair of the ALAC, one of the things that we wanted to do was actually sort of like have more conversations between ALSs, even, and that would be everybody. But we haven't, we never got around to it, unfortunately. But maybe this is a start. And I mean, the aim of this meeting too is to perhaps have something that actually follows up on it. But I don't see that that's going to be my role. I'd really like it to see it coming from the ALSs themselves, and that just means the I'm sure that the RALO chairs have actually sort of like got. Oh, okay, yeah, more questions.
I mean, take for example, what Maureen was saying about these issues. I want to encourage chapters who are here represented that if you want things like this, please pass it through the chat and make that request through the chat and it comes to the board. It's always good it comes from the community as a request, and then it's easy for us to, at the board level, try to advocate for it. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got quite a few questions here, and I would like them to sort of like get people an opportunity to answer, because I also want to give Jonathan the last 15 minutes at least. Hadia.
Thank you, Maureen, and thank you for organizing this important session. Just to restate that for AFRALO, all at-large structures are valued and recognized equally, whether they are ISOC chapters or not. And then as for the role of ISOC chapters and ALSs, I honestly think that at-large structures that are not ISOC chapters can indeed help their ISOC chapters in achieving their missions, and also vice versa. ISOC chapters also can help at-large structures in their activities. And in Egypt, I would say this is also what we're doing. So at-large structure, Sharawi Foundation, which I represent here, we are also a member of the ISOC chapter, and we work closely on many of the items and issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadia. Yes, and I'm sure that other RALOs are doing similar. So, it really needs to be a little bit more coordinated. And I guess outreach and engagement comes to mind. Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will bother you, but few people talk about ALAC. ALAC, it's 15 people. Be careful when we talk about at large. If not, we are mistaking what we are talking about. The second point, it's that, Maureen, sorry, but it gives the impression that your at-large structure points are coming from the ILS Mobilization Final Report 2022. I guess that it's not true, because I guess it was not written ISOC member in this. Therefore, the left-hand side, it's coming from the website. The other one, it's coming from you, taking as inputs what was done in this mobilization working group. It's also important to be clear, because tomorrow somebody will see that and we will be maybe in trouble. Thank you very much.
Yes, I must admit, because it was actually specifically geared towards ISOC chapters only. So that in my explanation, it would have been more clear. I will, make sure that the PowerPoint that goes public won't have that. Thank you. We've got 3 online. Caleb, have you got those questions? Have you got some questions online here?
Not just not a question, but I've been trying to answer some questions online. I think Eduardo said CHAC means Chapter Advisory Council, which was part of what I mentioned earlier, that we encourage the community that most of your requests, please pass it through the Chapter Advisory Council, through your chapter presidents, and we will be able to facilitate something at the board level. Thank you. Okay, which question? Yeah, I see question. Hello, ISOC team. Could we consider setting up a chatting app or WhatsApp group to facilitate discussion and experience sharing among all members? If such a platform already exists, could you please share the link so that members can join? I want to believe that there is a chapter mailing list, which is the official mailing list for ISOC. If you join that mailing list, that will help you make the request for the WhatsApp stuff. The WhatsApp link that you're requesting for, maybe you can see like minds that might want to join. So that's the question. I think that's the only question I have seen here. I wouldn't know if anyone can point me to. Okay, so I see another question. ICANN has fairly substantial financial resource through various grants to support the projects of its chapters. What are the different forms of support for ALS projects? Maureen, do you want me to keep answering those questions?
Is there another question?
Yeah, so ISOC has fairly substantial financial resource through various grants to support the projects of its chapters. What are the different forms of support for ALS projects within ALAC? I believe there is Atlas and a couple of other things. I don't know. But I think you can answer that.
Okay, we'll have to work on those questions, but we'll, Greg, you're next.
Thank you. Thank you for calling on me. I think I'd like to, discuss as much as possible the advantages that and ways that we can use our roles as ISOC chapters to enhance our participation in ICANN and within and as well to use our ICANN participation to enhance our roles as ISOC chapters. This is a subset, not a preferential subset, but nonetheless, I think there are advantages. For instance, the question just about financial resources, ICANN unfortunately doesn't provide much in the way of financial resources for individual ALSs. There is Neurallo discretionary funding, but if you divide that by the number of ALSs, it's inconsequential. There are crop trips, which can be used for individual travel, people who are members of ALSs, or it could be individual members. But ISOC, by comparison, while it's not a huge amount of money, does provide various sorts of things, the beyond the net grants, large and small, administrative funding as well. And the fact that that's there, can be used. Obviously, it needs to be used to advance the ISOC mission, but it can be used as well to advance, the at-large mission. That is a way we can use this. ISOC chapters have a particular remit, whether they are ALSs or not, but we should look at how to coordinate among those that are doing specific things within their ISOC remit and see how those can be used to better our participation and our value within the ICANN sphere. I think there are specific things we can do in the other direction. For instance, as ISOC New York, we have ICANN readouts, not after every meeting, but after many meetings. We also try to have meetings, again, managed and supported by the ISOC chapter to discuss policy issues that are taking place at ICANN, as well as those that are taking place at IGF and the UN and elsewhere. So there are, again, a number of advantages. To the point that Amrita and Pastor Peters were bringing up, we could certainly also have a meeting of discussing ALSs in general and how they can better support that. But the idea that we somehow can't speak as ISOC chapters, I find a little bizarre even. But and obviously we're doing it. And lastly, I'll note that when Jolie McPhee, who many of you know and who's a longtime member of ISOC New York, has put an announcement on the ISOC Live mailing list that this meeting was taking place, noted this is the first time in a number of years that there's been any substantive discussion of ISOC's role in at-large and in ICANN. And so I think doing it every several years may be not enough, but certainly not doing it at all is not a good idea. And so I think, we want to try to again, enhance everybody's participation and ultimately our success by using all the tools that are available to us. And I think obviously ISOC chapters have tools in common that we can try to use Again, that doesn't eliminate other discussions. It's not a preference, but it is a way that we can discuss practices that we can put into place. And I look forward to continuing that dialogue, not only here, but through whatever communication method we want to use. I think this is an ongoing discussion and point that we should keep moving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. I think it's one of the you've highlighted so many of the things, especially financial, as well as other support mechanisms that ISOC chapters and ALSs can use. Aziz will be the last speaker, and then I'm going to go straight to Jonathan. Thanks.
Merci, Maureen. Je voudrais juste ajouter par rapport...
Thank you, Maureen. I would like to add to something that Greg said. It is very important indeed to make this comparison between chapters and ALSs in terms of the funding and in terms of the follow-up. What I find very interesting in the ISOC is that they have a regional person that is in charge of doing the follow-up. And we often talk about the fact that ALSs are active or not. ISOC, they have a manager that is following up on the activities. And we know, therefore, which is the chapter or which chapters are more active than others. And in the end, we can have a score or give grades, and then an ISOC chapter can become inactive if applicable. Another thing that is interesting with ISOC chapters receive a minimum of $3,000 per year. They have a minimum of $3,000 per year. This is an administrative funding for the chapter. They have this minimum of $3,000 on the condition that they are active, and they use that money to administer their chapter. And there are other fundings available from $5,000 to $50,000. This is very important, and this is what I was requesting for ALSs. This is a problem within ALAC to determine who is active, who is not active, and we should put this in place within RALOs as well. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. And I think that is probably part of a follow-up sort of like session, especially as we make this sort of like an ongoing event. But Jonathan, sorry.
No problem. It's been a great conversation, and I think there's a lot of interest here and a lot more ISOC members in the room than I was expecting. So I think that the introductory part of this in itself justified having this meeting. I think so. I think the thing to remember is that the notion of an ALS is that it's an independent organization that has some interest in ICANN activities, and ICANN is itself a minority activity for most people, right? If you look at the business constituency, it's made up of things like Microsoft and Facebook, and certainly their ICANN activities represent a minority of the work that they do as corporations, and yet they get together as businesses to see if there's some alignment. So I don't see a problem with ISOC doing the same. There is different possibilities for relationship and relationship management in that, I mean, we could have a relationship with ISOC itself at a high level and potentially for certain issues engage chapters that are not ALSs, for example. And I've talked recently with the International Association of Libraries where we might do the same thing. And if they become interested enough, some individual libraries might become ALSs, but we might still maintain that relationship with the International Association. So I think we should keep it flexible. But as both Amrita and Pastor Peter said, we treat all of the ALSs as the same, but we try to respect the fact that ICANN issues are just a subset of what they do. And so we want to try, and I think it's the responsibility of the RALOs to determine what the actual interests are of each ALS in the work of ICANN, so that we're only reaching out to them. So that we're only reaching out to an ALS if they're interested in the topic, the specific topic. And I think that's something we can do a better job of. And ICANN has just started doing it at a high level. Let people subscribe and say, I'm interested in privacy issues, but I'm not interested in security issues or things like that, so that we really only ping an ALS when we know it's something that matters to them. So what I've been asked to talk about a little bit in this meeting is that we are trying internally to the at-large community to figure out how we manage the idea of a global campaign. Increasingly, people have noticed that the at-large community is large. It's not just at-large, it's also large and deep and exists throughout the world. And so there's a lot of messages that need to get out to the broader population of end users. There's instances where we might want to do education, and there's instances where we might want feedback from a broader group of people on some of the issues that we discuss. You know, one of the issues we discussed was geographic names and whether or not they should be protected. And that's a topic that's worth talking to more people about, because it's something that affects lots of people and that could be made understandable to lots of people, right? And so can we find those opportunities to get more feedback? So on this issue of campaigns, we've started, I'm going to end up stopping somebody's sharing, I guess, here. I hope that's all right. And where is... There it is. Okay. One of the things that we worked on over the past year is the beginning of a kind of a manual for how we'll manage these global campaigns. How will we, as a community, take on requests for these campaigns? How will we evaluate them in terms of the priorities of the at-large community? And then how do we execute on them? You know, how do we develop the materials? How do we manage the execution of different campaigns? And so this playbook is just a kind of a draft that we expect to keep improving on over the coming couple of years. As we do more and more campaigns, we learn more and more about what works and what doesn't work, and in what situations different types of campaigns are better. So we talk about different types of campaigns a little bit. So there can be an identification campaign, which is to sort of identify end user interests, and then what we call an amplification campaign, which is something where we're trying to actually promote end user interests. And these can take the form of email alerts, where we try to get lots of people to send emails. It can be a phone tree. We're actually trying to get people, on an analog phone to talk to 3 people who talk to 3 more people who talk to 3 more people. Social media campaigns, webinars, and then seminars is something that I think is of great importance to ALSs, because I know a lot of ALSs, and ISOC chapters are no different, are often in search of content, right? They have a monthly meeting. What should we talk about this month? That's how I got a lot of speaking slots over the 20 years. Let's find somebody to talk to our group this week. And I think that it's that hunger for content and the desire to be constantly providing more information to their members that makes the seminar concept a powerful one. And as Maureen mentioned, we really saw the results of that in the context of the Universal Acceptance Day, right? There was this idea that they packaged up a kind of an event. Here's a presentation, here's a promotional video, and you can just deliver this, right? And then here's training on how to do it. Maybe we even provide a speaker, but it's sort of an event in a box. And so that's what we talk about a little bit in the context of these campaigns, as well as this idea of an event in a box. And then beyond that, conference participation, right? I mean, funds become available sometimes for active members of the at-large community to participate in technical conferences, internet governance conferences, et cetera. Why not have information ready to go and say, hey, I want to propose to give a session on DNSSEC, for example. And if we've created something for the at-large community, then they could just grab it and go and make that the thing that they deliver at a conference. So what this campaign playbook also tries to do, and again, this is all subject to change as we try to figure it out, is take on these requests through a group that I've called ACES, or the At-Large Campaign and Engagement Subcommittee, that then tries to evaluate them, whether they're within the sort of remit of the at-large community, and they make a recommendation to the ALAC, which then approves it, and then they manage the creation and execution of that event. It's something as small as composing an email, or something as big as, do you want to tell me how much time I have? 1 minute, okay. Okay. Play back the recording at half speed later. It'll make sense. So the campaign playbook is also full of these sort of flowcharts to try and determine how we're going to go about managing these campaigns. And so I encourage you to look at it, comment on it. We hope that it will grow with us as we grow in our capacity to launch and execute these global campaigns. And I look forward to the participation of all ALSs, but with no particular preference, also to all the ISOC chapters. So thanks for a little bit of time in your session, Maureen. I've enjoyed the conversation.
No, thank you, Jonathan, because I think that what you've actually provided is exactly the sort of resource that all our ALSs need. And I love the illustrations. I believe that you've been working on those pretty heavily over the last few weeks. So now we're going to be looking at this, just to finish off. We want to look at, okay, what's going to happen? How do we follow this up? And I think an ideal person to sort of like do that, to look at what we might do, is Greg Shatton, who sort of like enjoys that kind of stuff anyway. And I'm sure I kind of really do appreciate the comments that were being made before, especially from people who've been in the ISOC system and ISOC and ALS system for so long, because I have so much experience and lots to share. And I think that, as has been mentioned, this sort of session is good, not just for ISOC chapters, but for all ALSs, because, a lot of them do find it difficult to sort of like really understand sort of like how they can be more effective. But Greg, have you got a proposal?
Thank you, Greg Shatton. And like to note that the next community forum is going to be in Seattle, which is part of the NARALO sphere of influence. And thus we will be kind of chairing the preparations for at large in Seattle and holding a number of meetings. So I'd like to suggest that the next time that we have a meeting like this, I think the community forum is a good place to have it, and NARALO and myself are happy to chair and organize that. I'll also, for fairness sake, suggest that we have a general all ALS meeting at one of the upcoming meetings as well, to discuss just general ALS improvements. Obviously, that also should feed into the ALS mobilization for us. But I think that we can have these meetings periodically, and I'd be happy to move that forward at the community forum, which falls under our purview. Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Greg. One thing that at least I can speak to at this point is there is a strong possibility that if NARALO is helping with this and we are getting the help, there's a likely possibility of having probably other chapter elected board members attending at that meeting. There's a strong possibility about that, and so you probably get to see some of your chapter elected representatives to the board, and you can also engage with them. And so we thank you, Greg, and we look forward to that meeting if it's going to be organized. Yeah, and most likely we might even get the board chair to attend. Yeah, we'll try and force him here.
You will coordinate that with you, Greg. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you very much for coming, And thank you very much for your participation. And yeah, we'll definitely see you in Seattle, if not next night. And if not, and yes, Heidi tells me that there's going to be a workspace set up. So, and that's where you'll find Jonathan's playbook, no doubt. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all.
Recording stopped.